UBC Studios in Kampala. This is Good Morning Uganda Extra.
It's a cold morning, and in case you're just coming to town, please carry yourself an umbrella, carry yourself something to keep you warm. Just a few minutes back, here with around Nile Avenue and maybe the entire Central Division, we had a very heavy shower. So in case you're making it here, you're making it anywhere in the 5 divisions of Kampala, beware of us that it is raining or it has just stopped raining. So in case you're moving on foot, you're riding a motorcycle, or you're even driving. I know there's temporary stagnation now on a number of roads. If you're not sure of the depth, do not try to walk through, do not try to drive through or ride through. You may end up sinking and making a miscalculation. Welcome to Good Morning Uganda Extra. I'm Robert Chirabo Nyonyitono. Glad that you're watching, and thank you so much for those that have been with us from the hour of 6:30 till now. Now, today we want to focus on something very important, and that is the International Day of Persons with Disabilities that will be celebrated on Sunday. But remember, Sunday we won't be here, so we've chosen to have this show commemorating in celebration of the International Day of Persons with Disability that is celebrated annually on the 3rd of December, which is going to be this coming Sunday. Now, we have about 12.4% of our population. Those are persons with disability. Now, we are talking about 5.8 million people living with a certain disability. 5.8 million people in Uganda are having one form or the other, or more than one form of disability. Now remember, disability is not inability. And if these people get what they require, the gadgets, they have full capacity to perform as anyone without any disability. But also, you never know when disability can knock at your door. It could be an illness, it could be an accident, it could be maybe a robbery, it could come to your door anytime. So we aim at ensuring that we create a conducive environment, that when the worst happens and it happens to you, you have a safe landing. Now, joining me on set to discuss this and more, I have the Commissioner, Disability and Elderly Persons Affairs at the Ministry of Gender, Labor and Social Development. And I'm humbled and honored to have Prosper Muhumuza joining me this morning. Commissioner, you're most welcome.
Thank you. Thank you so much, and good morning, viewers.
Now, to begin with, when we talk about disability in Uganda, how big is the problem?
Yes, you are a good statistician in disability. We are talking about 12.4%. 5.8 million Ugandans living with some form of disability. And this year we said the role of innovations in disability inclusion. Per category of disability, we are saying, UBC management, how can you ensure that you innovate, you do some modifications in your structural network of the building to ensure that you accommodate persons with disabilities?
Like we have lifts here.
You have lifts. We have sign language services. You remember I was complaining before the show that my sign language interpreter has delayed on the way. She's supposed to be here with me, so that the deaf community is just getting it right and clear without depending on some other.
You know that weather sometimes also messes up issues. The jam is so much, the rain is an inconvenience. But hope she joins before we end the show.
Sure. Oh, another show. Yes. We'll have another show another day. Yes.
Okay, now you talked about something, categories of disability.
Yes.
Now, what are these categories of disability?
Thank you. We can walk through the different categories of disability. The first one, we have physical disability. We have hearing disability. So physical disability. We have hearing disability. We have visual disability. We have mental disability. We have albinism, category of disability. We have persons of short stature. We also call them little persons in our law. Those days, before we outlawed some of the words, they were calling them dwarfs. And we no longer use that word. The Mental Health Act of 2019 outlawed that word. So they are persons of short stature.
Commission.
Yes.
Now, there are short people I know. I'm a short person.
Yes.
So these little people are extraordinarily short.
Now, in their physique, in their growth, there are some genes, there are some complications that happen. They are not like the Batouas, pygmies.
Yes.
No. For them, they have a lot of complications in their legs when it comes to squatting, when it comes to doing some waving their hands and they have some forms of disability. Ideally, in some countries, they categorize them under physical category of disability, and that they have some complications in their legs, in their hands, and other parts. So they are not like other short people or pygmies, but for them it's a condition, it's a disability. They have an impairment that needs to be attended to.
Okay.
You can go to an ATM and transact. You can go to these many public toilets or washrooms and do your business. But most of these persons with short stature or little persons are failing to use our ATM machines. They have had to climb some stools. Some of them are falling down and again injuring themselves. They go to the washrooms. They find we have battened them. For them to really use them, they have to do some sort of putting some help of some sort of being lifted. And we are saying no. The role of innovations in meaningful inclusion, the role of innovations in disability inclusion, that this person deserves better. Why should he come to your washroom and he's struggling and using his hands to touch where other people sit? Let the people, the water engineers, do different sizes. Let's do sizing in hotels. In a hotel with about 5 or 10 washrooms, let's have 2 with a lower size and 3 with a higher side, and then we accommodate everyone, and we are all happy.
So having talked about the various forms of disability,
I didn't talk about the last 2, multiple category of disability. You can have more than 2.
yes.
You have speech, you have hearing, you have seeing, and also you have physical. And then we have deaf-blind. Deaf-blind, most of these, they can't see, and also they cannot hear, and sometimes they actually don't have speech. Yes.
Now, you've talked about innovations. Our viewer, this is the theme of this year's celebrations, the role of innovation in disability inclusion. So this is the theme that Uganda we are looking at. But let's look at also the legal framework.
Yes.
You know, people pushing or activists in the disability movement have done great. Of course, there could be more needed to ensure that we have the legal framework. Now, one of the things you've talked about is make availing gadgets, issues of transportation, access to various buildings. We have laws. Why aren't these laws acting to make their lives better? We see many public places that do not have this facility. Many hospitals don't have these facilities. Yet we have a law, Commissioner. Why is the problem then?
The law is there, but some of the enabling structures have not been in place. But I'm happy to say we have a commitment from Uganda Building and Construction Review Board. It has really, really come in handy in terms of writing warning letters to different hotels, to different corporate institutions where the public has access. We are not talking about your home, your private home. We are talking about a facility that is accessible by the public. And we're saying you must provide for a person with disability. And we have had very many buildings in town being modified to cater for persons with disabilities. Lifts. A person with visual impairment is more comfortable in a talking lift. He also wants to live an independent life. This child of yours, who can be blind anytime, who can have a visual impairment, or yourself, you don't want to depend on a helper all the time. Can I be in the lift and I hear that this is level 3? Then I come out without asking, where are we now? Where are we now? No, we are saying, innovate. Let's have an innovation. Minister of Finance, their lift talks. So when you enter like that and you have a visual impairment, you are on level 3, you know you are on level 3.
Many of them currently now.
Exactly, and those are the innovations we are talking about. So the legal framework is there, and most institutions, public institutions in this country are walking the talk in terms of installing such talking lifts to cater for people with visual impairment and other categories. Sign language interpretation, we are walking the talk. Innovations have been made by several media houses to have, at least during prime news, sign language interpretation. And we don't take that for granted. We have walked the wrong way, where we didn't have anything, and now we are moving towards the direction. Government has put in place an association of sign language interpreters. They are all over the place, sensitizing the public on how to accommodate persons with visual, with hearing impairment. And when it comes to the other category, which we call deaf-blind, so someone can't see, he can't hear, sometimes he can't speak. We are talking about tactile technology. You can give me your hands. Tactile technology is where we speak using our hands. So I tell you, this is food, food is ready, because you can't hear, you can't see, and you can't speak. So I have to communicate with you where hands speak. And we agree on signs. You learn first, then you speak. So you learn by knowing that maybe food means this. So if I touch here, it means food is ready. So it's a technology as a country that we are urging ourselves to invest in. The ministry in charge of innovations, the ministry in charge of technology, together with Minister of Gender, Labor and Social Development and Minister of Health. We want to give it a dive and ensure that this tactile technology works. Because we have people who can't actually hear, they can't see, and they can't speak, and they might survive. Therefore, we must innovate. We must innovate so that these people can survive in our community. They don't, currently they are using it in their home setting to communicate, but we want it to be sort of a standard language in the country. So that if someone touches you, and you know, the way someone can touch you and is signing something, then like, hey, he's saying I shouldn't continue talking. You know, someone can grab you and he grabs it, then I'm like, oh, he's saying I shouldn't continue saying something. Maybe there's a secret you're about to reveal, but by some scratch, you know, so that's a bit of tactile technology which we want to innovate, which we want to promote for persons who can't see, who can't hear, and who can't speak.
Now, Commissioner, that was said earlier on. I was telling our viewers that the difference between a person with a specific disability and I is only the disability.
Yes.
But if they have the gadgets,
yes,
they can be able to perform. Now, one of the challenges we are facing, despite all these breakthroughs that you've mentioned and the planned ones, is the fact that these things are expensive. For example, we talked about people with albinism.
Yes.
Now, sunscreen. Someone would think this would be readily available, Commissioner.
Yes.
I did on market try to find out, and you find between 20, 30, 15, if there are non-government organizations that are providing this, then these people suffer because the sun really hits them. They lack the melanin that we have. Let's go to wheelchairs. A wheelchair, a good wheelchair, is not less than 800,000. Let's go to clutches, brailles for writing. There's this zit cane that people, you know, for walking.
White cane. Yeah.
White cane. All these are very expensive. Yet, unfortunately, you find that people with disabilities are also, by and large, struck by poverty. And they can't afford them. So what is your ministry? What is my government, our government, doing about this?
Thank you. One, the legal framework is in place, as you have put it. Article 35 of the Constitution specifically talks about affirmative action for persons with disabilities in this country. It's one of the few special interest groups that has a provision in the Constitution. So persons with disabilities is a constitutional creature in as far as provision is concerned. So the public, the policymakers outside there, the members of parliament and everyone should know that Article 35 calls upon each of us, the duty bearer, to make sure that we provide for persons with disabilities. Number two is about taxation. Of late, we have used private-public partnership to ensure that persons with disabilities get all range of assistive devices. So most of the assistive devices that you have mentioned are tax-free currently. And I can name about 20 different non-government organizations that are bringing in wheelchairs, crutches, almost all those categories. Actually, the challenge we have is the quality. I can quickly talk about the quality. We have many coming in from China, from Japan, from Europe, and all these countries. But what we seem to be seeing with Ministry of Health is the quality element, especially of wheelchairs. I want also to use this opportunity to call upon the persons with disabilities who have more than 3 wheelchairs in their house, in their homes. It's not good. It's unfair. And for your information, you are going to have it for 2-3 years, and you find that actually it's no longer relevant to your type of disability. We have very many NGOs bringing wheelchairs. They distribute in Lira district this year. After 1 year, they are again distributing, and what we see is that when we go to our homes, we find one person with 5 wheelchairs. We are saying those wheelchairs are not necessary. Please, if you have already received, tell the distributor, tell the non-government organization, tell the Minister of Health that I already have. I only need to be assessed to find out whether the one I have is the one I should continue using. We have too many wheelchairs in the country, but also we have those in need, unfortunately. So we have the supply, we also have the demand, but the wheelchairs are many. Last time we did statistics, we had over 4 million wheelchairs in the country. But where they are stationed vis-a-vis those in need is a challenge. We have also realized that we have many for adults, and the children are lacking. And the children need to go to school, they need to do some work in their homes. Specifically for persons with albinism, the sunscreen, we, on Saturday we have a national symposium to look at innovations. The scientists from the Ministry of Innovations are going to be telling us with national medical stores, what should a person with albinism do who doesn't have money to get the sunscreens? And unfortunately, sunscreens were not yet on the list of the waived items, because some people didn't understand that persons with albinism are part of the categories of persons with disabilities. So during the tax waivers, the sunscreens were never waived. And this year we are now in the budgeting process. It's an item we want to prioritize during the budgeting process. That's added on the items whose taxes are going to be waived. But a lot is being done, but what we need to do is to streamline coordination, that whoever is bringing in these items, can we go to Mr. Andrew, who is the focal person at Ministry of Health, to receive these items, such that there is proper coordination, which district is in need, which community, rather than having parallel and uncoordinated.
Now, Commissioner, that said, you talk about NGOs, and you want to thank the NGOs that have been very active in improving the livelihoods of persons with disability. But I don't know if you've ever gone anywhere to purchase these wheelchairs. About 4 years back,
yes,
I was on my bike. I had an accident, and I needed clutches.
Okay.
So I thought they were cheap, only to be told I needed the cheapest I could get that were fair.
Yes.
Were between 350, 400. Then a friend was offering second hand. I said, at least we can try and look for 150, you can get the second hand that someone has already used. When you go in Katwe or these other places to buy a wheelchair,
yes, I've been there.
You know what it takes.
Yeah.
So if these really, they have tax
Yes.
waivers, where is the mismatch? When you talk about a sunscreen, okay, that is something you said you're promising to have.
Yeah.
But when you talk about this, you call it white cane?
The white cane, yes.
Every person with a visual impairment would have loved to have it. But all these remain expensive.
They remain expensive, yes, and you raise a very, very critical point here. And I know my honorable members of parliament on the Health Committee of Parliament, some of them must be listening in. It's an issue we are trying to look at. Okay, if he is an importer of wheelchairs, we give him zero tax. He is importing on zero tax. And ideally, a wheelchair is supposed to be sold at 100,000 when it reaches Uganda. But he's selling it at 600,000. Don't we need to review that government hand? Because you see, a waiver means government is paying somewhere. Actually, part of the challenge why the regional orthopedic workshops, Murago, Jinja, Mbale, and all these regional referral workshops are supposed to have functional and well-equipped orthopedic workshops. Now, 5 years ago when this waiver was extended under a private-public partnership, somehow the budget line which would have been going to Ministry of Health to go to these orthopedic workshops was now shrinked to compensate taxes for the private sector to be importing these items at a very subsidized fee. As we rightly put it, we did an assessment 2 years ago, and the private sector is misusing the tax waiver. We have seen elements of misuse, and it's an area that parliamentarians now want to review and say, okay, it seems private-public partnership in terms of assistive devices for Uganda is not yielding the fruits that we expected. Our poor persons with disabilities are not accessing a wheelchair at 200,000. We may have to modify the modality so that maybe the money, instead of putting the money to the private sector, we now put it to the orthopedic workshops and we do mass production of these kits. Mubende, Casualty Ward under UPDF, is doing a lot of work there. I went there and they are doing a lot of materials. Kataremwa here on the road.
Is it Kataremwa Shasha's home?
Yes, exactly.
So, yeah, they are doing a great work. I must commend them.
In Fort Portal, they are doing some production. So, and this year our theme is innovations. We actually now want to promote local innovations. We are asking ourselves, we are like, a white cane. The study which my department has done has realized that the white cane that we are importing is very weak. Now, most Ugandans, when they get a stick in their hands, they think also of the stick helping them to walk in terms of strength. That if I am going sloping on the hillside, I'm also using it for purposes of support. Not only for signing, because a white cane signs as I pass. But now Uganda, we realize we need to do local production, such that we incorporate two things. It's used for signing, but also for strengthening me, for providing support as I do the walking. And it's something we are doing with, discussing with Uganda National Association for the Blind to ensure that we do some modifications. And that's why this year's theme is on the role of innovations in disability inclusion. Can we do some substitution on the white cane that we are importing, which is very weak, and you just move with it on the roadside for road users to respect you. But we also add an element where, in case the place is slippery, you're able to use this stick as a support mechanism.
Well, I want to send my greetings to Francis Kinubi.
Yes, yes, yes.
I think he's the director of Salama School for the Deaf,
yes.
But he was also the executive director of NUDIPU, National Union of Disabled Persons of Uganda. He's the first person I saw use a white cane, and I had to ask him so much, how does it work and all that. But he was very friendly. He gave me the information I did. I salute you, Francis Kinubi.
I think in the same vein, there's a gentleman called Francis. He works with fathers mechanism. He imports wheelchairs, and in all districts across this country, they have received wheelchairs from Francis.
Oh.
Francis, I'll share his phone numbers. He's working with government. He's importing quality wheelchairs, and you don't just receive a wheelchair. You first undergo an assessment. See which type of wheelchair do you require. So you don't just pick a wheelchair and move, because some wheelchairs can actually worsen the type of disability that you have or impairment. That's why you must go on an assessment. And on Saturday, from Friday to Sunday, we are going to do mass assessments in Mbarara for different forms of disability: visual, hearing, speech, physical, and all categories, to ensure that whenever you want to buy or to look for an assistive device, it's based on professional assessment. So you don't just go to the shop and say, I want to buy a crutch, I want to buy a wheelchair. No. You must first undergo an assessment, you must be assessed, and then you are referred, you receive prescription for the right device that fits
now, a
your
quick one before I go for a break. Commissioner, we've talked about 12.4% of our population, people living with one form or the other, or more than one form of disability, which is actually 5.8 million Ugandans. But the issue of poverty within the disability community, the issue of marginalization, stigmatization.
Yes.
One would say, even when a person with a disability has gone to school, despite the law that you said if an employee, still chances of getting employment are not as that person without a disability. So you find this community that they are so much soaked into poverty. What is government doing?
Great, thank you. And stigma in 2004 was tough. When I was doing my course in disability and rehabilitation, I stayed for 4 months in Uganda, helping 15 homes of parents with children with disabilities. In 2 of the homes, the mothers, children had hydrocephalus, the very big, this fluid part of the head. And the stigmatization level was too high that this child must be contained in the bedroom, because if the mother-in-law looked at the child or the neighbors, this mother would be chased away from the home. We have had scenarios in some districts, husbands running away or fathers running away from these children. So what you're saying is true, but we have come a long way. I'm very happy to tell you that cases of parents hiding children under the bed have gone down. I used to be there, I could see them myself. It took me 14 days to convince this mother to get the child outside, even to go to the sunshine. So it's been a reality, but we have moved. And thanks to the affirmative action by this government. In 2019, this government started a special grant for persons with disability, the first of its kind in the whole region. that you have an affirmative action grant, even its design, even its guidelines, even the way you apply for it is customized to the persons with disabilities. And this is in addition to what you hear: youth livelihood, WEP, EMIOGA, parish development model. Persons with disabilities are also free to benefit from all these other grants, but they have theirs, an affirmative action
One
grant.
ring-fenced for them.
Ring-fenced for them. It's now at 15.9 billion Ugandan shillings. Each local government in this country has benefited from this grant. We have, for it, it doesn't target districts. It targets districts, cities, and municipalities. And we are talking about 181, all of them. What you only need to do is to be 5 people with disabilities. You get a bank account, and you are done. You give the details to your community development officer, and the ministry will transfer funds direct to your account to do some business. You don't pay back. It's a grant.
Commissioner.
You don't pay back.
Commissioner.
Yes.
Let me get you right. We are talking of how much money? The grant?
15.9 billion. So far, it's
15.9
been growing. It started at 2.4 billion. So every year.
What is this year's allocation? This financial year?
This financial is 15.9.
15.9.
Yes.
And it is easy to get, as you've said.
Yes.
Then why do we see these people go on streets?
I think what we are going to do, me and
Why do we see these
you next week, we are going to get time, and this is for real. We just walk in either Nakawa or Central Division and get the true story.
To have beneficiaries.
Yeah, sure. And we ask them, do you have any challenge accessing this fund or not? What is it? We really go. We have a challenge of street children and street beggars. My colleague, the Commissioner for Youth and Children, has a list of sort of suspected NGOs who are dealing in this. We want to call it borders trafficking, really. They are using these children, vulnerable children, to make money. There's a journalist who works in another media house. He tells me most of these children with disabilities we are seeing, some of them are from Tanzania, some of them are from Nairobi. She has a recording. I think they even have a house somewhere in Ikisenyi. It is something we have reported to Internal Affairs to really interrogate more. This does not mean that we don't have Ugandans who are on street and with disabilities, but it's a complex matter than just saying they are there because they are lacking. They are there because they are lacking, but also there's someone using them either to earn or to score something that we are yet to appreciate. But in as far as special enterprise grant is concerned, it is there. It may not be enough for everyone, but it's there, and people are encouraged to guide their relatives, their friends with disabilities to form groups and access the money.
Well, I'll be going for a short break now. When we return, we'll be discussing more regarding what will be transpiring on Sunday, the International Day for Persons with Disability, where the venue is going to be, who are going to participate, and of what relevancy. Or is it simply commissioners, permanent secretaries, ministers sitting in their big, beautiful cars, going to this venue, make speeches, get allowances? That's what we are going to be digesting when we return.
Live from UBC Studios in Kampala, this is Good Morning Uganda Extra.
UBC is the national public broadcaster. We educate, inform, entertain, and inspire our audiences. You can watch us on free-to-air channel 001, DSTV channel 282, GoTV channel 371, Star Times channel 201, Zuku TV channel 20, and Azam TV channel 350. Even when your subscription expires, you can still watch UBC for free on your pay TV platforms.
Pick of the day on UBC.
Every Wednesday, 10 p.m. on your public broadcaster.
was brought to you by
MTN Momo Pay is the easy way to pay. Dial *165*3# or use the MTN Momo app. You don't need cash. MTN Momo Pay is safe and free.
Junko.
Yo.
What you check the shopping, man. What's your secret?
Haven't you heard of the parish development model PDM?
Yes, I did, but I thought it was just a talk.
No, it is real. I and a few friends together formed a circle, accessed money from the PDM, invested in a poultry project, and now things are moving.
Junko. I thought I was one of your friends.
You are,
but you left me behind.
I didn't leave you in poverty. What you do, just visit your LC2 chairperson and your parish chief, and start the process of economic transformation. Just like that. The parish development model is an initiative from the government of Uganda through the Ministry of Local Government, designed to transform all lives of Ugandans for the better. PDM, my parish, my development, my life.
A new dawn on Behind the Headlines with me, Timothy Nyangweso. Every Wednesday, live in our studios in the heart of Kampala. We have conversations that have analysis, explanation, but not every truth is fact, and not every fact is truth. Every Wednesday, 10 p.m. on your public broadcaster.
All on your public broadcaster, UBC, inspiring Uganda. Live from UBC Studios in Kampala, this is Good Morning Uganda Extra.
Welcome back from that short break. Thank you so much for keeping it with us on UBC TV. It is Good Morning Uganda Extra. I'm Robert Chirabo Nyonyitono, and we are discussing matters of persons living with disability. Not to forget that Sunday, which is going to be 3rd of December, is International Day for Persons with Disability, and the theme is Role of Innovations in Disability Inclusion. Now, in case you've just joined, I have the Commissioner, Disability and Elder Persons, Ministry of Gender, Labour and Social Development, Prosper Muhumuza, with whom we've been trying to digest some issues affecting persons with disabilities. Now let's move to the actual day.
Yes.
Where is it going to be, and how does this in any way help persons with disabilities? Because we've had a number of International Day celebrations. Neither is this going to be the first.
Exactly.
But what impact are such days, apart from government organizing them, injecting money, allowances, facilitation, to the actual people?
Great. The day is an accountability day. The duty bearers are going to account persons with disabilities. Starting with now here and the different media houses, the different ministries, Ministry of Education is speaking issues, learners with special needs. UNEB is speaking what happens whenever a child with disability is doing exams. I don't know whether the public is aware. Government has a policy. Any learner with disability during exams with UNEB has extra 30 minutes as an affirmative action. Because it's not like another learner, so government compensates. And lots of other affirmative action measures that were put in place. But on Saturday, we have a symposium. The who is who in the land is going to be talking issues disability. Starting with National Planning Authority, which is the body responsible for coordinating all planning mechanisms for this country. They'll be giving a keynote speech on what this country is doing and what it is going to do in NDP 4 as we speak disability mainstreaming. We are going to have ministry in charge of innovations, the scientists who are innovating. As you innovate, as you do buses in Kira, under Kira, how are you making sure that these buses are accessible to a person with a wheelchair? We are going to speak issues lands. Most of the persons with disabilities, they are facing challenges of land ownership, with parents who are very ungrateful, who are very unconsiderate, looking at their sons and daughters with disabilities as if they don't have a right to own property. May I beg you, may I tell you that children with disabilities deserve better. They are also like any other human being, and they own and they inherit land. Commissioner, Minister of Lands will be in the room, in the symposium room, speaking land rights for persons with disabilities. We are going to have Mbarara Regional Referral Hospital speaking issues surgery, issues prevention of disabilities which are preventable, and many other speakers that will be in the room. That is on Saturday. On Sunday, we are going then to comb the different stakeholders. We are going to have the councils for persons with disabilities, the national chairperson of the council, speaking what the councils are doing. These are structures which persons with disabilities use up to parliament level. Uganda became the first country in Africa to have members of parliament, and many African countries have since copied, have since benchmarked from us. They also now have members of parliament. The members of parliament will be in the room trying to speak to people. What have they done when they became members of parliament? Is it just ticking the box, or that affirmative action breeded some results for persons with disabilities? Where are the gaps? When talk about education, do we still have children who are failing to go to class because of lack of ramps? Such that then we ask Minister of Education and the contractors who are constructing these schools not pay them. Do we still have pregnant mothers going to health facilities failing to be taken care of courtesy of sign language barriers? Minister of Health will be in the room to commit what is going to happen to ensure that there is no language barrier because someone cannot hear. And many, many stakeholders, decision makers in this country who are going to make commitments or recommitments, and especially issues innovation. Because we have been doing a lot, but we are saying areas where we're importing, areas which we're not doing smart, can we do something better? The parking yard at UBC, out of every 27 parking slots, one is supposed to be marked person with disability. So if a person with disability comes to the UBC infrastructure, he should quickly get where to park as part of our innovation, as part of our legal framework. And Minister of Works will be in Mbarara during the symposium, speaking issues, what is being done to enforce such a requirement. I've been complaining about Entebbe. Entebbe municipality used to have meetings on 3rd floor with one of its councillors not able to reach 3rd floor. And the municipality recently committed to change the meeting room so as to cater for a person with disability. You can get a guest whom you are not aware of that is coming. When you are inviting someone in a meeting, don't assume. He may be a person who cannot see. He may be a person who cannot hear. So ask, oh, the guest who is coming from Ministry XYZ, which reasonable accommodation should we provide for in the meeting? And these and more are the issues we are going to unpack. We have done a lot since we met last time. As I told you, the grant for persons with disabilities has been growing. Previously, it was at 9.6 billion. As I talk now, it has now gone to 15.9. It was just because of a message. We're saying, no, these people need theirs because they have.
So, Commissioner, sorry to cut you short. In the interest of time, yes. So where is the venue? Is it open to all people? Is it open to persons with disability?
The venue is at Rutoma Senior Secondary School in Mbarara on Uganda Road in a place called Bwizbwera, Orutoma Senior Secondary School on Sunday. On Saturday, the symposium is on invite. The symposium is at Lakeview Hotel in Mbarara. The next day, on Sunday, everyone, every Ugandan is invited to the venue. Preparations have been made for everyone. Tents are enough, seats are enough, leave alone the weather. We have put sign language interpreters at the front. We have put wheelchairs at the front to ensure that whoever is accessing the venue and has any kind of disability or any kind of reasonable accommodation required will be taken care of.
Well, we must get out of here. I just have a few minutes to leave room for the next show. But let me just have your final word to the disability community or fraternity and Ugandans in general.
Final word. One is to thank persons with disabilities who have outgrown the previous stigma and shown the public that disability is not inability. Second, to call upon the duty bearers, the prosperers of this world in the office, to think disability. Today it's someone, tomorrow it's yours. Let's make a world a better place to live in terms of physical, in terms of technology, to ensure that every person with an impairment is accommodated in the development agenda. To thank UBC for always being there when it comes to development, when it comes to people with disabilities. This show is courtesy of UBC, and we don't take this for granted. It's just because the vulnerable person rings louder at the heart of UBC management, and I must thank you that we should continue with this partnership so that we transform the lives of persons with disability.
Well, I want to thank you so much, Commissioner Prosper Muhumuza, who is in charge of persons with disabilities and elder persons at the Ministry of Gender, Labor and Social Development. Thank you so much for your time. Above all, my viewer, thank you so much for being with us, those that were with us from the hour of 6:30 till now. And of course, my camera persons, the technical team that makes sure I come to you live and clear. Thank you so much for the good work. All I can say is no one invites any form of disability. You never know when it can knock at your door. So let's create a conducive environment for persons with disabilities, but also in case the worst comes to your door, because you set a peaceful landing, create that environment, then you will be able to achieve your full potential, because all that you need to assist you is in place. Robert Chirabo, Nyonyi Ntono, wishing you a lovely day. God bless you.
Live from UBC Studios in Kampala.